everyone. Come on in to Act Now Live. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips.
Hi, everyone. I'm Regeanie Corona.
Hello and happy Sunday. We're so excited to be here. I'm just making sure everything's up here and going. And we are going to just take a few moments here. I'm going to actually get this shared out. We're having some technical difficulties just with Facebook not sharing out some different things at this moment. So we just want to make sure that we can get people in here and say hello and make sure that people know that we're going live. We have a really fun topic today, and I want to make sure that that people are able to see it. So, Reg, what have you been doing today?
What have I been doing today? I started a challenge for myself called the 21-day Rebuild Reset challenge. And I went out for the first part of my walk. I'm going to be doing 4 miles a day. So I did 2 miles already. And there's a number of things that I've been really focusing on and spending some time writing down what I want to achieve in the next quarter. It's the last quarter of the year. What about you?
I know. Well, let's see. I went back to church today, so I was super excited to be there in person. And I'm getting ready to do a talk right now for an audiology boss conference. And so I'm supposed to, I know if our friend Dr. Amit Gozalia, if he's watching, I owe him some slides. And so I am so close. There's just so much good information. I'm so excited to be there to talk to a lot of audiology people who own their practices. And so that's what I've been doing today.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I went to church. I'm still doing virtual church, but I did church this morning.
Yeah, I actually went back today, which felt really good. So that's good.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So just as a reminder, we had our very first Action Takers Network call this past week on Wednesday. And we had a few people, and thank you to those who signed up and showed up for our first call. We went live actually in our Act Now group. And so that is sitting there live. If you haven't joined our Act Now group, it's a private group. So find us on Facebook. It's a group. And so even though you like our page, go ahead and join the group because we did go live there. We don't plan to go live every Action Takers call. It was just the very first one.
Yeah.
And we're definitely planning to do this every month. And so it's going to be every third Wednesday of the month. It's a free call. We just want to make sure people get connected to each other and learn about each other, collaborate, maybe help each other's businesses out. What else do you want to talk about the Action Takers Network?
I think it's a great opportunity for people to connect and seek out resources and expand their network. I'm really excited about it. Networking is one of those things that there's networking, and then there's networking the way that I wish it was. And so my hope is that as we grow the Action Takers Network opportunities, that it will be that intentional connecting where people can go in and really learn about other people and then have the opportunity to give back. So be able to ask for things and give back with their knowledge and expertise.
Yeah. And I'm excited because especially in this time and during the pandemic, people feel so distanced from each other, but we can still network, and we're providing an environment for people to get together. How do people sign up for the Action Takers Network?
So, the first thing is to stay tuned, join our group, and that's going to keep you aware of the schedule. But then it's through Eventbrite, right? Are we still doing it through Eventbrite?
Yeah. So I think the two best ways to figure out if you can or just stay in contact with us would be sign up for our email, right? Our email, there is a little website kind of going down along the bottom ticker that you can sign up for. But if you're part of our email list, that https actnowguide.com, you will be notified when we have our next event. And so what happens is you sign up and we will definitely send you out, but you have to go out to Eventbrite because we're actually sending out a new Zoom link every single time so that we can kind of manage and make sure that we have just the right amount of people at each networking call. And again, because we're having it every month, we can limit the number of people that are on the call because we want to make sure that people do get connected and it's meaningful for them. And so this is why we're doing it this way, is either give us your email, sign up for our email list, which again, you get lots of value with our email list. Or if you join the group as well, you will find out when we have our next Action Takers call, sign up, and then we will send you, sign up at Eventbrite, and then we will send you a unique Zoom link for that particular call. So it's not the same Zoom link every single Wednesday or every single time we do this every month, but we want to make sure that we can kind of control the numbers a little bit and make sure people are getting some great value out of it.
Yeah, Natalie, some people may, for those that attended the first one, they may think, oh, well, I can just use the same Zoom link. But no, we want you to sign up each time because, as Natalie said, we want to make sure that we're managing the number of people who participate in the group. It's a limited number of people that can participate. We've kind of said that the cutoff limit is at about 20. That seems to be manageable, and we've got some really exciting things planned. Like we want to put people out in breakout rooms, which it's much more effective when you can get into those small groups. And we will be providing content. So, just like with any other networking where you're doing it in person, a lot of times you'll get some type of training or valuable content, and then you have the opportunity to network. And so we're going to follow that methodology so that you get value and you get the opportunity to then go and network in small breakout groups. And you can talk about what you learned through the training that was provided, as well as how you can help support one another.
Yeah. And I think for people who are like, okay, so I've networked in person, I don't know how this virtual network thing works. We came up with a short list, and we're going to be sharing our networking tips one by one because it's slightly different than networking in person. Some of it's kind of the same, but we wanted to make sure for those of you who are like, I don't know how to virtually network, we wanted to make sure that we equip you with some really good tips. So let's kind of dive into our tips here. The first one is obviously with any type of Zoom call, with any type of thing that you're doing virtually, we want to make sure that you are respectful of any logistics going on. So, as many of you know that have been on different types of virtual things, cameras are on. I even told my son in his classes, I don't care if you're the only one with your teacher with the camera on. It's just a matter of respect. And of course, obviously with networking, people want to see you, but definitely with logistics, we want to make sure your cameras are on. You mute the microphones until it's time for you to talk. You minimize any distractions, any running around behind you. If you can possibly do that. There's so many different logistics that we should cover, just to make sure that you're aware of that. Again, these are things that you wouldn't necessarily have to do if you were networking in person. And then if there's a moderator of the group, just kind of respect the time, because we sort of, for our Action Takers network, we want to make sure that we give you enough time for both a learning component, like Reg had said, but then also as we go along in maybe our breakout rooms, there's going to be a moderator in each one. And we want to make sure that we can get everybody to be able to share and have their ask and their give. And so that would be the first virtual networking tip, would be logistics. Let's go to the second tip. What about introduction, Reg?
So the second one is introduction. And I think a lot of times we don't really think how important our introduction is. We have just a few seconds to capture the attention of the person that we are talking to. And it's not necessarily that they aren't going to continue to talk with you, right? They will, but you have just a few seconds to really capture them with who you are and what you do. So it's best to go prepared with your introduction. Practice it. Think about what you're going to say. And you want to make sure that you're able to quickly introduce who you are, what results, if you have a business, what results you help people to get to. Oftentimes we say what we do, people, this is just a tip, people are less interested in what you do and more interested in how you help them to solve a pain point or a problem. So results are what really speaks to people a lot. And even if they don't need the results that you provide, they may know someone else who does, so they can make an immediate connection. And then know who you serve, be able to talk about who it is you serve in your business. Now, this is all obviously if you have a business or if you're an entrepreneur, or even if you are an author of a book. But let's say that you're none of those things. Maybe you're aspiring to be, but you're not yet, or you're not sure. Well, when you introduce yourself, talk about your passions and your purpose. Here are the things that I'm actively involved in, and this is really, really important to me, because then that lets the other individuals know who you are and what's important to you.
Yeah. Part of the introduction too that I think is important to consider is also if you can kind of think of conversations beforehand too. I know a lot of people, because this is not something typical that we do, and you can't really read into a lot of people's different reactions, and you're just seeing their faces. It's very two-dimensional. I think a lot of people might get a little nervous even. And so if you go in prepared just by thinking of different conversations or even questions that you might have, if you don't have anything, to share, having that ready before you attend will also help. Maybe if it's even something like, what was your favorite book that you read recently? Something like that. So think about different conversations ahead of time, or conversation starters ahead of time that might actually help. And again, even if you're asking about what type of book, it might be like, what was your favorite book that helped you in the self-help or self-development type of area, or something like that. I think that would be helpful.
Absolutely. And for those of us who don't always feel comfortable with, I hate the moment that seems like it's an awkward silence and you're fishing for things to say. It's like it's so much better when it just goes smoothly and it flows. So having that, sort of mental bag of questions to ask and things to talk about really, really helps to make it a little bit easier. So for those who might be a little bit shy or a little bit unsure, it helps when you have that, because you just know right off the top, oh, okay, I can ask this question, or I can ask this question.
And I think it's also important. I hope these tips also help in person as well, because these can bleed into, if you're very nervous about being at a networking event, these are the same things that you can do. Have conversation starters or questions that you have ready to go, and you won't feel as nervous because you're not searching for the words as you're trying to listen to somebody else as well. So if you're just joining us, just as a reminder, I want to let you know that this is Act Now Live, and I am Dr. Natalie Phillips. This is Regeanie Corona, and we are co-authors and business partners, and we are talking about just being successful at learning how to network virtually or digitally. And we have started an Action Takers Network, and we're kind of giving you tips about how to network, hopefully in person, again, once we're together, but then also in this day and age when we're doing a lot of things virtually. So if you're just joining in, that is what we're talking about today. We're going over some different tips. The first tip was just about logistics. The second tip was just introduction, being prepared, thinking of conversation starters beforehand to not make you as nervous. The third tip about being intentional. Do you want to start that one?
Sure. So I love this one, being intentional. I always tell Natalie, like she knows I'm a strategist. And so everything is about strategy, and intention is strategic. When you are engaging in any kind of networking event, whether it's virtual or in person, you want to make sure that you understand what is it that you want to get out of the experience. Why are you there? What are your intentions? Maybe there's a person that you're hoping to meet. Maybe there's a company that you're hoping to get engaged with. Maybe there's a resource that you're looking to connect with. Whatever that thing is, have an understanding of that before you enter the room, the virtual room, right? So be prepared mentally to be aware of your intentions. And as you are connecting with people, you're hearing about the things that they're doing, make sure that you are looking at how does this fit into my intentions, because time is important. Time is valuable. It's the one thing that we cannot get back. And so it's really, really important to make sure that you are utilizing your time wisely, you're stewarding it well. And that means being intentional when you go into a networking event.
Yeah, this one I had to learn from Reg, because I would love to just kind of look at something, feel like, hey, that's really cool. Maybe I'll just kind of show up. I'm not really too sure why I'm showing up or why I want to do this. I just have this feeling. And then I would show up. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, just taking this extra step of action of being intentional, just pausing to think about it. Reg had taught me that, because the more that you're intentional about what you're going in or what you're doing this networking event for, the better the results are that come out of it. And so if you were going in just to meet a specific person, or like Reg had said, learn about a certain company or whatever it is, that's going to help you with your results in that short amount of time, whatever amount of time that you have. And it's so much more helpful. So it's not a bad thing if you don't know why and you're going to show up. Right. But if you can take that pause, it is so much more helpful. I have learned this as well. And so I think it's really important. The one thing that I do love about being intentional too is when you make that connection, that's all it is. Make sure that you're just kind of looking for that one connection that you can maybe either give value, help them out, or serve them. Don't necessarily worry about getting a sale right away or whatever it is about your business. That can come later. Reg had talked to me about this too, that's always in the follow-up. That can always come later, but you want to make sure that your intentions are pure and authentic, and you're there to make that networking connection.
Yeah. I think along those lines, going in with an intention to give and to serve rather than to take and to sell is really important. So, if you're in business, sales is always at the end of the day, it's somewhere on your list. But if you lead with giving and serving, sales will follow. I am a firm believer of that. And, have you ever been at a networking event, Natalie, where you're introduced to someone or you start talking to someone and they immediately go in for the sell? It's like the shark that just...
Yes.
And that feels so sleazy and icky. And I'm sure most times, probably not 100% of the time, but most times that's not how people want to come off. But they're so focused on, I got to get the sale. And a lot of times that's coming also from a place of scarcity and lack. So you focus on what you don't have, what you need to get, as opposed to going in a little bit more relaxed and adding to your intentions. Like, I'm going to meet people. There are some specific things that I want, but I'm also going with the intention of connecting and serving and giving where I can.
Yes. Yes. And so again, I'm reminding people, if you're just joining in, we are talking about just how to be successful in this new day and age when we have to virtually network. Again, some of these tips are also in person as well. So if you're joining in and you are, you've networked, you're getting a little more comfortable with either in person or even this virtual networking, put it in the comments and share with us, what have you had to overcome, or what have you learned in the differences between in person or virtual? And if there's a difference, or if you've learned something that we can kind of share with everybody as well. We have our good friend Mary Campbell's here, so I just wanted to shout out to her and say hello. She was in her first Action Takers Network. It's so good to see you, Mary. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so we are going to go back. We have 5 tips and we're on our 3rd tip. So if you've come on and you've missed the first few, you can always catch it in the replay. We're going to go on to our 4th tip to help you be successful in virtual networking. And it's to bring a positive attitude. I love this one, but I also love, I'm just going to add in real quick, not only a positive attitude, but an open attitude.
Yes.
I think that when you show up to these networking events, things are going to be so different. You don't know who you're going to meet. And just have that open attitude of, I'm going to show up and I'm going to just be be present, be present to learn, be present to feed off of other people's energies, things like that. And just you're in the safety of your own home, but be comfortable and be open that you are here to actually make that connection. But let's also talk about the positive attitude too.
Yeah, what's really interesting, I thought about it as you were saying it. This is one of those where it goes back to what we talked about in number one around logistics and showing yourself on camera. So a lot of people now in virtual networking events or environment, have you ever been at a networking meeting and you see someone, I've been guilty of this, you see someone over and they're on their phone. Well, they're hiding behind their phone. That's their way of kind of just sitting quietly and
like, don't talk to me. I don't really want to talk to anybody.
Yes, because there are these fears and things holding them back. So a lot of times not showing ourselves on camera is very similar, right? So having a positive attitude before you go into an event, if it's in person, before you enter into the virtual space, just thinking about, I actually, whenever I think about getting your mindset in a positive space, gratitude is the best place to start. So think about, I'm grateful for the opportunity to go and meet new people. And in that opportunity, I never know if I'm going to find my next friend, accountability partner, business partner. Natalie, you and I talk about this all the time. That's how our relationship started. And we were both open to that. And I've heard so many others talk about similar stories where they've gone to events and so much came out of the relationship building that they had because they were open to it and because they had a positive attitude. And I've been guilty of this as well. I don't like networking. I've talked about this before. I like connecting with people. I just don't like when it feels artificial and unauthentic and just not real. And oftentimes when we go to these networking events, that's the way it can feel. And so it's important, I think, to just open yourself up and think about how when I walk into this experience, I'm going to bring everything that's good about me and I'm going to put that into the atmosphere, and I'm going to allow myself to receive the introductions and the networking opportunities that I am exposed to. So all of that falls under having a positive attitude. And when you go in, I've been guilty of thinking beforehand, man, I don't feel like going to this. I really, I have to do it, so I'm going to do it, but I'm not looking forward to it. And inevitably, I find that if I start out that way, it really makes it more difficult for me to enjoy it and get the most out of it.
Yeah. And you and I have talked about even being an extrovert versus an introvert, and there are both people out there, and I think a lot of the times if you have this trepidation of like, I'm not too sure who I'm going to meet and I don't even know how this is going to go. Sometimes even like what we talked about, preparing yourself a little bit, maybe writing some things down might help you prepare about or thinking about even what is positive about this experience that you're going to be walking into. I remember that, the same, I think, I don't know if it's the hormone or same, how the brain works, I guess, in how you get nervous about something is also the same thing that ignites when you get excited about something. And so a lot of
it's the crocodile brain.
Yeah,
it's the reptilian brain.
Yes, I have learned to just reframe it in my mind. There were times where I was nervous, whether it was to speak on, stage or whatever it is. And instead of saying, oh gosh, I'm so nervous. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. And my stomach feels kind of weird. And, I talked to myself and said, I am excited for this opportunity. And just having that frame of mind reset button helped me channel that those feelings into something that I was excited for. So, again, it's one of those things that, take a stop, take a little bit of a break, take a pause, take a stop, and think about what you're walking into with this networking opportunity. And like Reg had said, maybe it's gratitude that you write down, maybe it's questions that you prepare for, maybe it's things like that that you can spend some time doing, and it's going to help change your attitude. So I think that that's a great networking tip. Um, Last one. Our number 5, yeah, is to connect and follow up. So again, I am all about connection. It's something that I love. I know Reg is all about connection as well. We connect slightly different from each other, but we both thrive on making these real authentic connections with people. And so, when you're going into a virtual networking environment, you can also connect in a different way. Like what we're doing with the Action Takers Network is we want to break people off into breakout rooms where it's a smaller connection. I think that you feel less vulnerable when you're in there as well, because you can, it's a private room, and you can kind of spend time meeting just a few people versus like, oh my gosh, there's 20 people I have to share myself with. But no matter how you connect, everybody's going to connect differently. We want to make sure that when you walk into a virtual environment, that you also think about these connections, that you be, if it happens to be, where you are the bridge between somebody connecting to another person, whether it is somebody that you're going to give a resource to, that's one way of connection as well. And then also the other way of connecting is to follow up. So I'll have Reg talk a little bit more about following up and connecting as well.
Absolutely. So you want to make sure, and I wasn't always good at the follow up. And I can tell you that I lost connection to some great people because I didn't follow up immediately after. Following up is so important, and you want to do it ideally within 24 hours of when you've met them. You want to make sure that you are sending them a personal email or a personal message. If email is not their thing, or if they didn't share their email address, then you want to go out and find them on social media and connect with them and say, it was great connecting with you at the event. I'd love to stay connected and stay in contact. You don't have to say much. That used to be my excuse. Okay, I've got to write a long email. You don't. And I'll even give you a tip. If you're a business owner, a lot of business owners already know this. Entrepreneurs already know this. But have a template in email set aside so that after you meet someone, you can go right into whatever your system is, even if it's just your mail interface, and copy that template, and then you can tweak it based on who you met. It's always good to put something personal to personalize the message. But make sure that you follow up, because that open communication, that line of communication, you never know where it's going to lead to. And I know Natalie talks about this. We talk about it in the book, that when we first met, I told her, I'm terrible at staying in contact. And she said, don't worry, I'm good at it. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is to get good at it, even though it's not something that I naturally do well. I've had to force myself. And what I've done is put a system in place. And a system is having a template that you can easily pull out and use. I also use a CRM, a contact relationship management or client relationship management, however you want to refer to it, product to do that. In our nonprofit, we use Salesforce, and I'm starting to use that even more. So I come back and I put someone's information in, and I put notes in, and then I put like a task for myself with a due date. Within 24 hours, send an email to this person. So it's really important. The other thing that I want to add is, in this day and age, it's important, if you can, to go and connect with them on social media, right? And then if you really aligned with them, you really felt a connection, go out and like their Facebook page, go out and follow them, like their other social media pages, connect with them on social media, because it allows you to then not just connect to them, but connect to their network. So you're expanding your network through their network.
Yeah. And this really leads into, why we're here, why we're doing this. I mean, it's something that Reg and I believed that it was so important to stay connected to each other. But now it's not just about us anymore. This is a movement that we're doing. It's to not only get you to take action, but to get you connected to other action takers to keep you accountable. I think that's the biggest thing. So number one, we do have this Facebook page or we have our Facebook page, but we have a private Facebook group. Now, every Friday, what we're starting to do is exactly what Reg said. We want you guys to get connected to each other. So every Friday, we're going to start a post, and it was started this last Friday, and it was pretty well, that people shared out their businesses, their companies, their Facebook pages, their social media pages, and we went out and liked each other's pages. And I think that's one of the really important things is to, identify with who you connect with, and identify, you never know when you need, I had no clue. A friend of mine, and she shared her page there, had these little necklaces for babies. And you never know. I might want to purchase that for a gift for somebody, So it's one of those things where, we are going to try to facilitate as much of a connection that we can among our action takers, among the people that know us, that want to join up forces with us to be part of this movement of taking action. So that's one way that we want to make sure you guys stay connected with each other. We think that's super important to have an impact on each other. And then, Reg, do you want to share the other thing that we're thinking about getting together as well, as getting people connected?
Yeah. So some of you know that I love technology. I come from a technology background. So I'm always looking at how to use technology more effectively and to help us do what we're looking to do. And so one of the things that we are looking at doing is creating a mobile space, a mobile app space that connects into our monthly networking events. It will also connect into whatever events we have in person. Hopefully next year we're able to start doing that. And it's not only, if you think about event management and planning, it's a place to go out and see, okay, what's on the agenda this time around, and what are the things we're going to be talking about, who's going to be talking about it, who's set to speak for that month. But it also creates an environment for you to connect with one another, because it's almost as though it has like a directory inside. So once you are signed up for the event, then your information is available. And if you want to share it, then all the other participants in the networking event can see it. And then you can begin to connect with one another outside of our networking event. We even have the ability to set up meetings, one-on-one meetings, or multiple individuals in meetings through that app. So we're really excited about it. I was a little nervous about giving you guys information, and Natalie was like, "Can we tell them?"
Well, part of it is, I think, sharing some of these things. It does make it nervous because you're like, oh, that means we're going to have to do it. But you know what? We're all about goal setting, taking action. If we speak it, Reg, this is going to be the platform where people are going to be like, okay, wait a minute. They talked about this thing that they were going to develop. So guess what? That means that we are going to have to develop it. But we are so committed to making sure that we can get you guys all connected to each other. I honestly think that it's so, so important. See what I mean? Now we're going to have people come in and keep us accountable. So we've got Mary and our friend Regina that says that's super exciting. So that's down the line. We've been heads down just this past week. We've been so excited again. Our book is coming out short, like a week, maybe a little over a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's launching. Yes. So we are getting super excited to launch our book. It is ready. We are going through just the last few steps of looking over the proof, still obtaining some endorsements and reviews, but it is getting close, you guys. We are down to about a week before we launch. And so, next week we're going to really be giddy, I think.
I know. We're going to jump. I'm thinking as soon as we get the proof. So we're waiting on the proof, the actual physical book proof to come. And as soon as it does, I'm thinking we're going to jump on live and just, scream to the hilltops, it's here, we did it. Because,
yes,
inspiration for other people. This is a goal that we had, and it I looked at my notes, and it was July of last year that we started planning this out. So it did take a little while.
Mhm.
And I think part of that was because we're co-authors. We had to go through and plan together. It wasn't like just one of us doing it on our own. But the bottom line is we set a goal and we said by 2020, this was going to be released. And here we are. We are now saying this goal is achieved. And that gives us the confidence to move on to the next goal. And that's part of the movement, encouraging and inspiring those who connect with us, those in our tribe and those coming to our tribe, to get out there and do those things that you have in your heart. You know, we could have gotten stuck in who's going to read it and is it going to sound good? And, you know, we talked about those things. And I have to say that having each other to talk to about them helped. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is we set a goal and we are going to check the box on that goal. And then we're going to be able to measure our effectiveness on that. And that is important because the goal supports what's important to each of us.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited.
I'm excited too. And I'm excited and thankful for those of you who tune in to us every week and catch us on the replay. I cannot wait, hopefully, to meet each and every one of you that are following us and this journey and are supporting us. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts because it has been a journey for both of us. But now we are getting excited to get to the next phase of this. So, you know, again, we will be back here next week, Sunday, 3:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on our next episode of Act Now Live. Stay tuned, join our email list and our Facebook group as well to just kind of keep up with some of the things that we're doing. And we will see you guys next week. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining.
Take care. Enjoy your week.